program hopping, trying to do novel things to create soreness.
People equate soreness to progress. A lot of people think like if they're sweating, they're making progress.
It doesn't matter how hard you're training if you're not eating enough food. What are the biggest mistakes that kill your progress in the gym?
It's hard to assess progress when you're constantly jumping from program to program.
It's not the training program, it's your execution of it.
Most people, they're going to tap out mentally before their muscles tap out.
You do that in a gym for 5 years and you're going to make no progress.
I'm Ryan Stevens.
Dr. Taylor Waters. I'm Ben Oliver.
Welcome to the Superhuman Show, yeah?
What are the biggest mistakes that kill your progress in the gym? So, as we've discussed on nearly every episode, the things that we cover, training, nutrition, supplementation, we wanted to go a little bit deeper into the training side of some key things or mistakes that we see clients make when it comes to hindering their progress overall. And again, we'll say body composition. So when we're looking at the gym, we're looking at building muscle. What are some of the biggest things that you see that people are or aren't doing within their training program that you feel hinders or slows down their results?
When I just think of that question, I just think of those guys that you see in the gym. Say now you've been going to the same gym for 5 years, and there's the bloke who's been in there from the start, and he's still in there now.
Exactly the same.
And he looks exactly the same.
You always say that about when we used to work in the gym, like the same lecturers, the same weight.
Like clockwork. Like they'd come in the Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I could write down their session before they even do it.
Yeah.
But it would be, I worked at that gym for 4 or 5 years, and they were still putting the same weight on each bar. I mean, they're very good at maintaining, but there was zero progression in like 4 years, and I'm like, oh, that's depressing.
But that's the thing, though. It's like, they are nailing what people say is the main thing, consistency. They are consistent. They're just not making progress. So there's obviously something amiss.
They didn't even know my name after those 4 years. Just didn't know my name.
I think the main thing, again, there's a few ways you can go down. Program hopping is one. There was a guy back home who he'd always tell me about this new program that he's on, and it would be like every couple of weeks, it's something new, something new, something new. And again, just no progress to be had. And it's just because they're constantly jumping around. Like it's hard to assess progress when you're constantly jumping from program to program. And the example that I use, I know you boys aren't soccer lads, but
I used to play soccer.
I used to be good. I got 2 left feet.
Yeah, but it's changed since you were 6. True. Manchester United have been having a shocker for the past decade or whatever. And they were chatting to the manager, and they were like on about your results are inconsistent. They were like, you're winning, and then you lose, and you win, and you lose. And he was like, with all the injuries we've had, I've got an inconsistent team. So it's like, how can you expect consistent results with an inconsistent team? And it's the same from a training standpoint. It's like you're constantly changing training all the time. So how can you expect to get any sort of consistent progress when everything is just constantly changing?
Yeah. Think about it, right? Like the human body adapts from like repeated stress, and what these guys are chasing is like novelty.
Yeah, there's that balance between novelty and progress where, again, if we're always going back to the can you be consistent? And sometimes you will sacrifice some progress for novelty in order to be consistent. You're not going to expect someone to do the exact same thing, for years and years on end, because at some point they're going to get bored and not want to do it. Maybe they don't, but I think there's going to be a sweet spot of novel stimulus sometimes is needed, like, when you hit like a true plateau. But if you use the novelty card too often, then it's very hard to quantify progress. If you're like a really good example is West Side barbell style like powerlifting training. They would rotate movements weekly or bi-weekly with their kind of max effort movement. So it might be week 1 you're working up to a 5 rep max back squat. Week 2 you're doing a 2 rep max rack deadlift. Week 3 you're doing a 3 rep max paused safety bar squat. And they would cycle these movements. They'd have like 20 exercises they would cycle through, and then by the time you go back to that first one, you're like, I haven't done this exercise in 20 weeks and it's a completely new movement. And they did get great results, but they were working with very, very advanced lifters that you couldn't have them do a barbell back squat week after week after week because their joints would just, they wouldn't be able to handle it. They're guys squatting 700-800 pounds, and it's like their bodies can't take that load every week, so they have to change up the movement. So the strength curve's different. The weak point in the lift is different. The loading is different. So they were still able to train at a high intensity every week. But this is like the top 1% of powerlifters that could do a barbell back squat with their eyes closed, blindfolded, with perfect form. Whereas most people, you need to spend 20 years back squatting before you can start to explore those different avenues.
You take a couple of weeks off a squat pattern, and you go back.
You're like, whoa,
I've lost it again.
Yeah.
It's mad.
Yeah.
What I often find with some people is that they'll chase this like different program hopping because like they almost like equate like soreness to making progress. And obviously, like when you jump to a new program, you are going to feel
novel stimulus will always create more soreness.
But like 1 week or 2 weeks is like that'll go, and then it's like, oh, I'm not sore anymore, so I'm not making progress. All right, what's the next program I can jump on?
Yeah.
So like that's a big reason I find as well. But another one is just training close to failure. If they want to build muscle, like what was that study or something? They thought they were training like 1 to 2 reps on failure, and really they were like 6 to 7 away or something like that. I can't remember the exact study, but it was like they were way off what they could actually push.
Well, mate, coming from this is what we did in the last Elite Fly-In, where we brought clients in, and it was like my main goal was to show them
we bought clients in, or we brought clients in?
What did I say?
We didn't buy them.
Bought.
How much did they cost?
I didn't buy anything. Pronunciation problem. We brought clients in, and the goal was to show them how hard it is to get to muscle failure. And what I was doing one working set on each movement, and I would be like, right, just find a weight that you think you will fail at around 8 to 12 reps. So they'd go on, they'd play around with the weight. Okay, this is it. And I'm like, now I'm going to push you until you cannot do another rep. So there was no assisted reps. It was all them. And some guys, so it was 8 to 12 failure. One guy hit nearly 30 reps.
Yeah.
So you got 30 reps out of a set that you thought you were only going to get 8 to 12. So it shows then how far you've been from muscle failure every single week.
Yeah.
You do that in a gym for 5 years and you're going to make no progress because you're not stressing the muscle enough to force any adaptation. Yeah. So it's like, again, there's so much wiggle room there, and that's a huge one that you see.
Yeah. Like it's a skill, isn't it, to train close to failure, and it's a difficult one. As well.
And like even if someone is training to failure, they're probably at like an 8 or a 9. Like I think to go to, if you really want to see true failure, that's like your life's on the line, or like there's $1 million. If you do X amount of reps, or
a few out then.
Yeah, and it sounds morbid, but like I would, because I had my group at the elite event. We were on the hack squat, and I was like, I want you to do this set like I've got a gun at your family, and it's like you think you can do 8. I'm saying do 12, or your family's getting shot. They're doing 15.
Yeah.
And it's just to show them it's like you have that in you to push that far, and that's not to say you have to go that far every single set, every single session, but you just doubled the reps that you thought you were capable of. I want you getting at least 75% of those. Yeah. It's like if you can do 15 under this circumstance of me yelling at you, not letting you rack the weight, and you thought you could do 8, I want you to get to 12 on your own. Like, and I want you to do that consistently with your training. But that's probably one of the biggest ones that I see behind the novelty. Like I think training people do it, like shocking the body is probably the most common one because they don't want to get bored. Whereas I would argue the guys that are willing to be bored with the movements get the best results when they just switch off and they just do it. And they but then it's the next one is like beating your weights from the previous week.
Yeah.
And I think unless you're at a very advanced level, it's reasonable to either add 2 pounds to the bar. Like you can get the micro discs off Amazon, like the tiny ones, or add a rep across 3 sets. Maybe week 1 was 8-7-6, and then week 2 is 8-7-7. Awesome. You don't need to do 888 in that week 2. Then the next week it's 886. Then it's 887. Then it's 888. Cool. Add weight. Like it's not going to be like add 5 pounds to your lift every week, especially as you start getting stronger. Those reps are going to be harder and harder to get, but that should always be the goal. Yeah. It's never going to be linear though, because like you might have underslept or underate, or you've been ill, and last week I did 3 sets of 8. This week I only did 3 sets of 7. It's like, all right, go again next week. Like it's going to be like this. I remember there's a US Olympic weightlifting coach called John Brose, and he was like, you have no idea what you're capable of on any given day, so you should always go all out. Because he was like, there's days where I'd go into the gym where the idea of putting a bar on my back made me want to curl into a ball. But I would say, you know what, I'm just going to warm up. Like I'll just warm up with a bar, see how it goes. Does, 20 reps of the bar, and he's I'll put 135 on, see how my squat feels okay. All right, we'll go up. We'll just see where we get. Hits a PR. There's other days where you walk in the gym where you're like, I am going to fucking bury my PR today. You get pinned with like 70% of it.
That's normally what I have.
Yeah.
That's more.
And so his whole thing was like, his slogan was the way you feel is a lie, which was like, you have no idea how strong you are on any given day. All you can do is stack the cards in your favor in terms of like adequate nutrition, hydration, sleep, all of these things, and hope that you get a good hand that day. But it doesn't guarantee it. Like even if you optimize everything, your strength is still going to do this on any given day, and you have no control over that. So his view was always like, you should always be pushing at like a 9 or a 10 RPE, because you don't know what you're capable of on that day. And then it's like, you take it when it's there.
So that's what I like that one. Take it while it's there.
Yeah.
Like if someone's like, oh, but I only had 8 reps was the target, like, but you add 10 in there.
Yeah.
Take it now.
Yeah,
because next week it might not be there. So take it now. Yeah. What's your, if people are listening to this and they're thinking, okay, do I train to muscle failure? Like how can I go into the gym now and try and be better in that area? What are your sort of recommendations?
With compound movements like squats and deadlifts and things, I'm always going to err on the side of like, if you don't know whether you're going to make the next rep or not, don't go for it. Just from a safety standpoint and longevity standpoint.
Yeah.
I think it's great to practice this on safe isolation movements like a bicep curl, a lateral raise, a push down, where injury risk is going to be extremely low.
Yeah.
And then I think key things to look for is tempo speed. Like that should, once you're getting close to failure, if you're keeping your form consistent, the concentric should be slower.
Yeah.
Like a set to failure, the last rep isn't, I'm done. It's like, no. Like there was no grind. Like there should be a grind, like on those last few.
50% speed, isn't it?
Yeah.
Drop off.
And because what people will do is when they start to feel that burn, their eccentric will start to speed up because it's uncomfortable when, your chest is burning when you're coming down with that dumbbell and you're like, I want to get out of this. So you'll start to bounce the rep a little bit. You'll spend less time in that stretch position in the bottom position, and you'll start to rush your reps, and the rep cadence will get faster and faster. And so the last set is like a free fall just to get out of the pain. Whereas my view is always like, chase that discomfort. Like when it starts to hurt, like you need to sit in that and focus even more and say, slow it down, be strict. And then, when your rep tempo really starts to slow down, then you're getting close to failure. But if your first rep looks the same as your first, or your last rep looks the same as your first, you're not at failure.
Yeah.
Like you can't be.
Yeah.
That's another indicator of progression though as well, isn't it? Because like people can fake a progression by adding weight and reps by like on a bench press and stuff. Where it's like, oh, actually you did the same amount of reps this time, but your tempo stayed the same. That's a progression.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the quantitative and the qualitative progressions, isn't it? And that's where when you get more advanced,
that's where
the qualitative is all I've got. I can't seem to get the quantitative. Like, I get the same weight that I did 10 years ago, but I'm happy today.
Well, but that's it. It's like you can't progress weight forever. Otherwise, we'd all be lifting 1,000 pounds. So there's a point where then maybe we play the volume game, like the tonnage. So it's like I'm not going to add another 10 pounds to my squat, but I could do more sets at a lighter weight to accumulate more work over the session. And I would always chase that weight progress to the point of now the risk to reward of adding more weight to the bar presents more risk than benefits. then I'm going to bring the weight back down and then add more volume. Whereas I think when people just play the volume game from day one, which we all did when we started our bro training, doing 20 sets for triceps, and then it's like there's no intensity there because you're subconsciously always leaving stuff thinking, I've got skull crushers after this, and then I've got single arm overhead extensions. I'm not going to go all out right now. Whereas my view is like, no, go all out right now, so you don't have to do that shit. Like you only need 4 sets and you're good.
Yeah. I think the isolation way of getting it done is much easier, especially if you're not competent training to failure. Like trying to get a back squat to muscle failure is
and realistically, you never will.
No.
Like, and because I've done some pretty horrible sets of back squats, and I think my all-time best was 4 plates for 20. But when you watch my last rep of that 20, it wasn't half speed from the first.
Yeah.
It was like the goal was 20 and I stopped at 20.
Yeah.
If someone then just said, do another rep, I'll probably do another 10.
Yeah.
Like there would be good mornings, and my technique would change, but I would have done more.
Yeah.
But it was just, I'm at the point of discomfort that I don't really want to do more.
I can't tolerate
but
it.
it was
the lungs. The lungs would be good. Because you're trying to breathe hard enough where it's hard to brace now because you're trying to suck so much air in.
His lungs and his disc went. That's how we got 5 of the 6 gone.
I don't know what I'm talking about as if I've experienced that.
I know.
Yeah. But it was like,
and then 180 on my back for a decade.
I think it's only been one of those squat sets where my legs gave out before my brain.
Yeah.
Like, because it took me, I think, 3 different attempts to actually hit that. Like, the first one, I think I got 13 or 14. The second one, I was fatigued and I got to 10 and I went for the 11th and I was like, come on. And my legs just wouldn't go it and I had to jump it off my back.
Yeah.
And then, like, on the third one, it's like when I get to 16 in my head, I'm like, I've done it. Like, I've only got 4. Like, I've gone past the point of no return. But there was one set where like I was mentally in it and I was like, I'm not giving up. But it's like my legs just did not work.
Yeah.
But most people are never they're gonna tap out mentally before their muscles tap out.
I would go leg extensions, tricep extensions, bicep curls, cable flies, because then it's like the systemic discomfort of like the heavy breathing, the stress on the core,
you don't
all
have
that is low.
Yeah.
Now it's just how much stress can I tolerate, how much tension can I tolerate within this muscle.
Yep.
That's a much easier failure to get to than like, because if you hit a set of 20 back squats to failure, your session's done.
Yeah.
There's not much else going on
like,
that day.
Yeah, neurologically as well, you'd be screwed.
But even I was gonna say, even with like a bicep curl, like say you take a bicep curl to failure, if I'm doing a bicep curl like this, and then I'm like, oh, it's getting really hard, I can change my form and just go. Yeah. And now I've added 2 reps because now I've just that last portion is a bit easier, and I'm like, and then it's like, oh, I want to do 3 more. Now I've got a bit of body going as well, and it's like, well, like you maybe you've taken it to failure because you're having to use everything else, but then, like you said, you're giving yourself a false sense of progress. It's like, oh, I did 15. It's like, no, you did 8, and then you did 7 shit reps.
Yeah,
like to try and compensate.
But that's where that mindset of when you feel, because your body will always try to make it easier for itself.
Yeah.
So when you feel that happening, you rethink the form. It's like, I'm going to almost overdo the form now. Yeah. I'm going to actually really slow it down on the eccentric, and I'm going to make sure my elbow's pinned nice and tight, and I'm just bending at the elbow, because you're almost fighting against your body's natural instinct of wanting to make it easier for itself.
Yeah.
But you know that's coming, so now I can prepare for that and make sure that when I do feel that coming, I can really avoid it.
Putting barriers in place as well. So like in that example, you can do something like a preacher curl where like you're driving your arm into the pad, you can't move.
Yeah.
So like you remove that.
There's not that many movements in the gym where they're like so fixed that you can't cheat. Because even a preacher curl, like, it's like if you're doing an arm wrestle, you use your body's leverage to like
come
lean
back,
and it's like you can always find a way to cheat if you want to, but then with a bench press or something, it's like you speed up the eccentrics, you bounce it off your sternum a little bit. Like there's always a way to cheat it, and so it's being diligent yourself on your rep cadence and strictness.
You've got other exercises as well. You can do like a back squat would just ruin you, but even things like a leg press, like that's much easier to take to failure than like a back squat. You know,
I think as well, really being diligent with tempo. Like for example, if I wanted to try and get my legs to muscle failure on a back squat, I wouldn't just be like a quick tempo, because then again, it might be my back. But if I went for like a 5-second negative a pause at the bottom, and then a eccentric, and then a powerful drive out. I feel like I'd be able to get my legs way closer to muscle failure doing that than I would just like max repping out, boom, boom. Because at the end, my back or something, or my core's going to give way, or my lungs. But if I'm like just keeping all that tension on my quads as much as I can, they're way more likely to give way now than just like all the other sort of the supporting muscles.
That's it. And other things are likely to go first than actually legs to failure. Like your lower back is a common one for me when I'm squatting.
And that's where like that, it's about like the mind muscle connection, like being able to isolate the target muscle with the movement just by using your form a little bit. Like, you know, I can Romanian deadlift a decent amount, but when I'm training hammies, I don't actually use as much as I can.
Well, it's a form of progress.
Yeah. It's like if I really focus on just pulling with my hams and like not coming fully up here and just like stopping a little bit shy, so the tension's always on the hamstrings, my hammies wreck, and I can get them to muscle failure like that. Whereas if I'm just like, yanking it up, my erectors and everything coming into play, now it's like, my hammies, the muscle that I was trying to get to muscle failure to get it to grow, wasn't actually getting to muscle failure. Maybe my erectors were giving out, or just the overall fatigue was just too much.
Because I think it's like, there's like four routes to progression. It's like you can increase the load, you can increase the volume, so you add an extra set or something. You can increase the density, so you do more work or the same work in less time, so you rest less. And then the fourth one is the mind-muscle connection. It's like you create more tension in the muscle, which is a subjective thing. It's like you can't really like, I did the same weight as last time, but I felt it more. It's like you can't put that on paper, but you know it.
It is true though,
and that's all you have when you're an advanced athlete. Is like, you know, I curl less weight now than I did when I was a teenager, but my arms are bigger. Yeah. So I know that, well, that has to be a route of progression to build muscle. Otherwise, my arms would be smaller. Yeah. Because I'm using less weight. And like, none of us are lifting the heaviest we've ever lifted now, but we probably have more muscle now than we ever had. And so we know, and that's not because I've just been doing more reps and more work. Like there's definitely like a tension.
Well, that's the difference with like a bodybuilder in it, where their prime concern is just building muscle. They're not moving quite as much weight as like a power lifter whose just goal is to move a weight from A to B.
Movement versus muscle.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, if your prime goal is to build muscle, you want to make sure that you're moving that weight with that target muscle, not just moving that weight.
Yeah.
And I think that's where, from a performance standpoint, the goal is just to move the weight. And after like bodybuilding for like several years, you find that actually I'm not moving as much weight as to when I was just like dick slinging weight around. Yeah. However, my ability to build muscle was that much higher.
Yep.
So it's like there's 100% something to it. It's a lot harder to quantify that.
Yeah.
I've had a great example with arms as well. Like I curl less weight, and it's because back in the day I was curling, but like after a certain point I was doing a front raise basically, and I just put my arms at the top. Where it's like now I'm locked in. Do you remember I used to do cheat curls like 90 kilo on a bar?
Oh,
you just like throw them up,
drive up with the hips, it's like clean.
Reverse power clean.
Yeah, and I was like no arm work, you know, it's lower back,
arms are lagging. Great uppercut on him.
No, I just curl like 10 kilo dumbbells.
Yeah. So what's another mistake or things that you see people see?
What have we covered? Intensity.
So training intensity, novelty, or like program hopping. I think I see people do too much in terms of just overall they're chasing the muscle soreness kind of thing, and it does tie into the intensity, where it's like you're not training hard enough and you're trying to make up the difference with just doing more. And I think that's like the old school bro mentality it was high volume.
Just too much volume.
Yeah, and not really taking anything to failure. And, I think the further away you are from failure, you do need to make up the difference with volume. Like if your goal is to build muscle, like you could train at an RPE 7, but if you do enough, you're probably going to build.
You'll get some adaptation to a point.
And this is where you see it with like brickies or laborers. It's like they're not lifting bricks to failure, but they're doing so much volume of it throughout a 10-hour workday. Their forearms have got massive because they're just doing low-level grip work.
Yeah.
like consistently. So like you are going to get some adaptations there as well. But
You see runners, like long distance runners, so you look at their calves, like, mate, look how much muscle is on that calf.
But then you just look at it and say, well, is that an efficient way to build your forearms? No, because I have to do it for 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
Whereas I could go in the gym and do 4 sets of wrist curls and probably get the same growth, and it took me 4 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's like CrossFitters, great physiques, very inefficient way to build muscle because they're training 5-6 times a day.
Another one, so like similar to like people equate soreness to progress. A lot of people think like if they're sweating, they're making progress.
Heart rate and calorie chasing
chasing calories.
They don't think of intensity like muscle failure. They think of intensity like heart rate, like how hard is my workout.
It's like when they rest in between sets of like, I don't know, 8 leg press, they're like running around the gym to keep the heart rate up. It's like, no, rest. You need to put the intensity into the next set.
I'll see a client complete a workout in like 14 minutes, and I'm like, how long did you rest between sets? And they're like, oh, take a few breaths, go again. I'm like, you didn't train hard enough then. Like you should want to rest 2 minutes between the sets.
Basically just completed a circuit class.
Yeah. So it says 3 minutes. So but I was fine after 30 seconds. Like, oh, well, you were definitely nowhere near muscle failure. If it's only taking you 30 seconds to recover, there's no way.
That's
it's like when you see someone do some intervals and it's like, oh, I found like, say it was 10 sets, 30 seconds on, 30 off. Oh, I found that quite easy. Oh, well, it shouldn't be because that 30 seconds should have been absolutely all out. And normally by set 3, no matter how fit you are,
I don't want to do it.
If you go all out for 3 sets of that, you're going to be gassed. So if you find that easy, it's not the workout that's the issue, because you could get one of the fittest blokes in the world to do that and he'd be gassed as well because he's max effort. So it's like it's the intensity's not there. So you're not recovering fast because you're like a werewolf and you're really conditioned to really go. You're recovering fast because what you're doing is not hard.
That's like a thing that we come across quite a bit where clients will say, oh, well, that training program is really easy. And it's like how easy a training program is. Like we could have one exercise, leg extensions, or we could have 10 different leg exercises. And like the leg extension on its own could be the hardest session ever. You could be sick after it. So it's like, it's not the training program, it's your execution of it. You know?
Like we've done some of the, like, I think we've done leg workouts where it was like 5 sets of 10 on leg curl, leg extension, job done. And we've like crawled out of the gym. Being like, that was, and then I've done other ones where it's like, 10 different exercises, and I'm like, it wasn't too bad. It's like, well, it was purely
You're
down
just
to the intention.
It's like a social session, and more like recovery stuff.
But it is again, it goes back to that intensity and building the skill to be able to train hard. I think another one people will do is, and it kind of goes to the novelty thing, but like they're looking at like the program needing to be complicated on paper, and it might be like supersets or drop sets or in intensity techniques when you like, it's fun. It's ironic that they're called intensity techniques, but like you're doing some bullshit drop set on a push down when the first set of it wasn't hard enough anyway. And it's like you'd be better off just doing 3 straight sets hard than it's like you did this 6 mini drop set thing, but you were fanning around on that cable, and then the weight that you're using at the end is so insignificant. It's like you need to just get stronger on the push down.
Just like, useless. But no, I think the most common ones we're talking about, again, around training, it's lack of consistency from a program standpoint. So it's just all over the top, chasing novelty. Intensity is a huge one, not getting anywhere near muscle failure. Trying to do these novel things to create soreness. And again, but it's like you can create soreness without that much intensity. You're just doing something new. And I think it's those key ones stand out, and then there's some crossover between them as well.
I think the only other thing, which I guess kind of goes out of training a little bit, but if your goal is to build muscle, it doesn't matter how hard you're training if you're not eating enough food, if you're not in a calorie surplus. Being an advanced, like if you're a beginner, you can get newbie gains. If you could eat fuck all, but if you've never lifted weights before, you're probably going to build some muscle because it's such a new stimulus that you're going to, like, everyone talks about the newbie gains, and it's like the first 6 months of training where you just every week you're like twice as strong as you were last time.
There's so much to adapt to because you've gone from nothing.
But aside from that, if your goal is to build muscle, but you're scared of like gaining any body fat, that holds people back so much because it's so hard to build muscle and it takes so long. If you're not in a small calorie surplus, like you're like chopping your legs off and trying to, like, you're pissing in the wind when it comes to building muscle. So I think with the guys that, you know, if you're lean and, you know, your goal is to pack on as much muscle as possible, once you've covered the things that we've just mentioned, like you're training hard enough, you're not dilly-dallying with stupid, you know, intensity techniques, you're consistent, you're following a program for a long enough period of time with some kind of progression involved, then you need to be progressive with your food as well. And once your protein needs are met, you need to be in a small calorie surplus consistently, and the scale has to go up eventually. Like, anabolics aside, you know, if you're throwing the Mexican sink at it, the scale is going to do some weird things and you're going to transform. But you know, if you're doing it the natural way, you have to gain weight in order to build muscle, like significant muscle, and there's going to be some body fat with that. And if you're not willing to be a little bit softer for 6 to 12 months, you're probably going to be really limiting your muscle building potential.
It's getting cold around here. A little bit of extra fat never hurt anyone.
Winter's a great time to do it. But it is like, again, because I would argue your training could be subpar, but if your nutrition is on point and that small surplus is there, you will still make great progress. But equally, again, you know, the guys that bury themselves in the gym 5 days a week and they're like, I'm just not growing. It's like, because you're doing too much in the gym and you're not eating enough food. And like Stan Efferding would always say, it's like, it's what you do outside of the gym is how you build muscle. Like training is ripping muscle apart and breaking it down. If you're John Meadows uses a good analogy where it's like, if you think of your training session as digging a ditch, you want to be able to have refilled that ditch and added some dirt on top before digging it again. Whereas if you're digging that ditch and then you're halfway recovered and then you're digging it further and then you're halfway recovered and digging it further, you're just going deeper and deeper down. You're never giving your body enough time to actually build new muscle tissue and recover and get stronger. And so you'll probably find your performance just slowly goes down and down and down.
The way that I look at it is like the training creates the environment for muscle growth, and then the diet and the recovery takes advantage of the environment.
Yeah.
But it's like, if you just create the environment and don't take advantage of it, and then create it again, don't take advantage, create it again, you're creating it so it's ready to grow.
Yeah.
And then, I'm not doing anything with
Like
it.
you started
ready to grow.
You started the car and you just sat there and gone,
you could have gone.
Yeah. Like, now's the time, but you haven't done anything. So I think that one, I know the emphasis was on the training today, but you do need to consider the nutrition component as well. But yeah, so I would say, you know, audit your own training and just say, am I program hopping too often, or am I chasing novelty over progress? Am I chasing that logbook? You know, again, if you're advanced, the logbook is going to be less important. It's still important, but I think it's less important. But most of our clients are in that beginner intermediate stage. So you need to chase that logbook and, you know, go in the gym, look at what you did last week and say, how am I going to beat this week? Like, am I going to add a rep? Am I going to add some weight and force yourself to do it? And it does, you know, it gets nerve wracking where every week you're like, it's only going to get harder. Like I have to push myself harder, but that's how you grow. And, you know, I would just say, just stop chasing the kind of like the new intensity techniques of, you know, drop sets, trisets, giant sets, like these things where it feels good, but it's like you're not really, you're not giving the muscle the kind of the stimulus that it actually needs to grow. And then make sure you're eating enough food, and then do that consistently for a long period of time, and you're probably going to be yoked. Hopefully. If not, take up ping pong. But awesome. Thank you as always, guys, for tuning in. Be sure to like and subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube, and we'll see you next time.
If you love this show, please like, share, and leave us a 5-star review so that we can help more people. I'm John Madsen, reminding you to always go get what's yours.